of the Outer Critics Circle. We are thrilled to celebrate our 75th anniversary season this year and to honor so many great productions on and off Broadway. Once again, we want to thank our friends at the Museum of Broadway for their generosity and the use of this space. We also want to thank the West Bank Cafe, where we will be celebrating our milestone 75th anniversary with a cocktail party on Monday, April 28th. Before we begin, a note for housekeeping purposes. Only new elements of Buena Vista Social Club, Dead Outlaw, English, Hold On To Me Darling, Job, and Oh Mary were eligible this season. All In, Comedy About Love, and Ben Platt Live at the Palace were not eligible. And now for our presenters, speaking of Oh Mary. They are both starring next door, literally right next door in Oh Mary, and were recognized for their work during our 2024 awards cycle. Please help me welcome the great Cola Scola and the equally great Conrad Ricamora.
Shall we get started?
Sure.
All right.
We got a show to do.
Yeah. Outstanding New Broadway Musical. The nominees are Boop the Musical, Death Becomes Her, Maybe Happy Ending, Operation Mincemeat, and Real Women Have Curves. Outstanding New Off-Broadway Musical. The Big Gay Jamboree, Drag the Musical, We Live in Cairo. The John Gassner Award, a new American play, preferably by a new playwright. The nominees are Amy Berryman for Walden, George Clooney and Grant Heslov for Good Night and Good Luck, Marin Ireland for A Pre-Existing Condition, Leah Romeo, Still, and Emil Weinstein for Becoming Eve. Outstanding Lead Performer in a Broadway Play. The nominees are Kit Connor for Romeo and Juliet, Laura Donnelly, The Hills of California, Mia Farrow, The Roommate, John Michael Hill, Purpose, Louis McCartney, Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Outstanding Lead Performer in a Broadway Musical. Darren Criss, Maybe Happy Ending. Jeremy Jordan, Floyd Collins. Audra McDonald, Gypsy. Jasmine Amy Rogers, Boop the Musical. Nicole Scherzinger, Sunset Boulevard. And Jennifer Samard, Death Becomes Her. Outstanding Lead Performer in an Off-Broadway Musical. Nick Adams, Drag the Musical. Marla Mindell, The Big Gay Jamboree. And Keki Obi Meliqui, Safety Not Guaranteed. Alaska Thunderfuck, Drag the Musical. Taylor Trench, Safety Not Guaranteed. Outstanding Lead Performer in an Off-Broadway Play. Caroline Aaron, Conversations with Mother. F. Murray Abraham, Beckett Briefs, From the Cradle to the Grave. Jane Atkinson, Still. Adam Driver, Hold On To Me Darling. Anthony Edwards, The Counter. And Paul Sparks, Grangeville. Outstanding Solo Performance. David Greenspan, I'm assuming you know David Greenspan. Koala Ibrahim, A Knock on the Roof. Sam Kisajukian, 300 Paintings. Andrew Scott, Vanya. Sarah Snook, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Outstanding Book of a Musical, Broadway or Off-Broadway. Will Aronson and Hugh Park, Maybe Happy Ending. David Cumming, Felix Hagen, Natasha Hodgson and Zoe Roberts, Operation Mincemeat. Daniel Lazore and Patrick Lazore, We Live in Cairo. Bob Martin, Boop the Musical. Marco Panette, Death Becomes Her. Outstanding Direction of a Musical. Michael Arden, Maybe Happy Ending. Christopher Gattelli, Death Becomes Her. Robert Hasty, Operation Mincemeat. Jalen Livingston and Bill Rausch, Cats, The Jellicle Ball. Jerry Mitchell, Boop the Musical. Outstanding Choreography. Jenny Arnold, Operation Mincemeat. Warren Carlyle, Pirates, The Penzance Musical. Christopher Gattelli, Death Becomes Her. Shannon Lewis, Just in Time. Jerry Mitchell, Boop the Musical. Outstanding Costume Design. Greg Barnes, Boop the Musical. Wilberth Gonzalez and Paloma Young, Real Women Have Curves. Rob Howell, The Hills of California. Queen Jean, Cats, The Jellicle Ball. And Paul Taswell, Death Becomes Her. Outstanding Sound Design. Paul Arditi, Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Adam Fisher, Sunset Boulevard. Peter Hylinski, Death Becomes Her. Peter Hylinski, Maybe Happy Ending. John Shivers, Swept Away. Special awards. The Outer Critics Circle will present a special citation to Patrick Hoffman, the recently retired curator of the Theater on Film and Tape Archive at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts, in honor of over 3 decades of service to the theater community, during which time he ensured the preservation of over 1,200 productions. And with that, I pass it off to, I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Thanks. This is so exciting. Nominees for Outstanding New Broadway Play are Cult of Love, The Hills of California, John Proctor is the Villain, Purpose, Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Outstanding New Off-Broadway Play nominees are The Antiquities, Grangeville, Here There Are Blueberries, Liberation, and Table 17. The nominees for Outstanding Revival of a Musical are Cats the Jellicle Ball, Floyd Collins, Gypsy, Once Upon a Mattress, and Sunset Boulevard. The nominees for Outstanding Revival of a Play are Beckett Briefs, From the Cradle to the Grave, Glengarry Glen Ross, Romeo and Juliet, Vanya, and Yellowface. The Outstanding Featured Performer in a Broadway Play nominees are Kieran Culkin, Glengarry Glen Ross, Latanya Richardson Jackson, Purpose, Frances Jew, Yellowface, Mayor Winningham, Cult of Love, and Kara Young, Purpose. The nominees for Outstanding Featured Performer in a Broadway Musical are Danny Burstein, Gypsy, Jack Malone, Operation Mincemeat, Michelle Pauck, Just in Time, Christopher Sieber, Death Becomes Her, and Michael Urie, Once Upon a Mattress. The nominees for, bless you. The nominees for Outstanding Featured Performer in an Off-Broadway Musical are Ali Lewis Borsky, We Live in Cairo, Paris Nix, The Big Gay Jamboree, Eddie Korvich, Drag the Musical, J. Elaine Marcos, Drag the Musical, Andre DeShields, Cats the Jellicle Ball, Henry Stram, Three Houses. The nominees for Outstanding Featured Performer in an Off-Broadway Play are Betsy Adem, Liberation, Sean Bell, The Beacon, Michael Rishon, Table 17, Richard Schiff, Becoming Eve, Frank Wood, Hold On to Me, Darling. The nominees for Outstanding Score, Broadway or Off-Broadway are Will Aronson and Hugh Park, Maybe Happy Ending, David Cumming, Felix Hagen, Natasha Hodgson, and Zoe Roberts for Operation Mincemeat, David Foster and Susan Burkhead, Boop the Musical, Joy Huerta and Benjamin Velez, Real Women Have Curves, Julia Madison and Noel Carey, Death Becomes Her. The nominees for Outstanding Orchestrations, Broadway or Off-Broadway, Will Aronson, Maybe Happy Ending, Doug Besterman, Death Becomes Her, Joseph Joubert and Daryl Waters, Pirates the Penzance Musical, Daniel Lazur and Michael Starobin, We Live in Cairo, and Andrew Resnick, Just in Time. The nominations for Outstanding Direction of a Play are Trip Cullman, Cult of Love, Stephen Daldry and Justin Martin, Stranger Things, The First Shadow, Sam Mendes, The Hills of California, Felicia Rashad, Purpose, and Danya Tamor, John Proctor is the Villain. The nominations for Outstanding Scenic Design are Miriam Booter, Jamie Harrison, and Chris Fisher, Stranger Things, The First Shadow, Rachel Hawk, Swept Away, Rob Howell, The Hills of California, Dane Laffrey, Maybe Happy Ending, and Derek McLean, Death Becomes Her. The nominees for Outstanding Lighting Design are Kevin Adams, Swept Away, Natasha Chivers, The Hills of California, John Clark, Stranger Things, The First Shadow, Ben Staton, Maybe Happy Ending, and Justin Townsend, Death Becomes Her. And the nominations for Outstanding Video Projections are 59, Stranger Things, The First Shadow, Nathan Amzi and Joe Ransom, Sunset Boulevard, David Bergman, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Hannah S. Kim, Redwood, and Finn Ross, Boop, the Musical.